Let's have a chat about Rio, because I mean, he, aside from the goals and the scoreline, I think, Tommy, you've touched on him already, but just mesmerising at times to watch, isn't he?
It was mesmerising, and you know, me and Steve, all we kept talking about in the first half was Rio, 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 and then he was a breath of fresh air. I think there was real quality there. At times, obviously, you had Cody in the box, but he was going across the front post when it was going to the back post, and he was at the back post when it was going across the front post. So, yeah, I think it's just getting that little bit of coordination. But yeah, it was a joy to watch him this evening. Really was a joy to watch him, and I know the cameraman enjoyed his performance. It's, you know, towards the end of the game, they zoomed in there. So I don't know if he got man of the match, even if it was only 68 minutes, but he was a standout performance today. Yeah,
we've got his touch map here actually for Rio Engamoa over the course of the evening, and a pretty industrious night for him, Jace, down that left-hand side. He did get man of the match, by the way, just to clarify, but it felt like at times that the Wolves' defence just didn't really know what to do with him and how to contain him.
Yeah, we spoke about him at length at the build-up of the show, didn't we? And, you know, we addressed his qualities on the ball. Listen, he's still got a lot to learn off the ball, but that will come with experience. Like David said, you know, he's still only 17. It's, you know, he's in and around the first team. He probably hasn't had as much game time as possibly what we thought, or he probably would have thought. Maybe because that's the season that we're kind of having. But tonight, you know, while he was in possession of the ball, he was a threat. And they're always great, these players, for a get out, aren't they? When you need to relieve pressure, or if you can get him in a one-on-one situation, you feel something will be created, and that's what he did. It was a step up for him tonight to start the game. We've seen how much an impact he makes coming on, and you rightly made the point, when you come on 70 minutes, 80 minutes, you know, there's a lot of energy been expelled by teams, by individuals, and he gets his opportunity to get a tired legs. Tonight it was, you know, it was a learning part of his journey, really. A part of the learning curve is to come on and start a game when everything is fresh, when they're getting a lot of men behind the ball, when they're asking different questions, and he rose to that challenge as well. You know, when he got on the ball in certain areas, it would have been easier for him to try and impress, isn't it? When you're new and you're fresh and you're exciting, you want to impress, and sometimes you can overdo it. But I highlighted the fact he's very good at his decision making. Very
mature performance today. You know, even when they doubled up on him, you know, there's times where you expect him to try to beat him, but no, he took the sensible option. He rolled it back to Robbo, and you go round again. So it was a very mature performance from him. Yeah,
you're right saying that, because obviously he's probably sat there thinking he doesn't really know when his next start will be. It could be quite some distance away from now, and having that sort of maturity, I suppose, is the right word to approach it in the way that he did was really important.
I think he's been handled really well, to be honest. I think, you know, I listened to the manager's press conference the other week, and he's under pressure at the minute, because that left hand side, you know, Gakpo's taking some criticism, and it's an opportunity because of maybe some of the performances. We want to lift in performances. We want something a bit more exciting than kind of what we're seeing. So he's the ideal player to come in and do that. But the manager's sticking firm by his decision making and how he's kind of implementing him into the team, you know, his journey, how he's looking after him. And I agree, you know, sometimes you can throw them in, it can all be a little bit too much. You know, he seems a level-headed. I don't know too much about him personally, but he seems level-headed. Like you don't want to give him too much too soon. You know, you drip feed him in, you keep him hungry, you keep him in the first team squad for training. He's grown in confidence being around them, being around the first team squad. What's demanded of him, you know, out of sight. You know, he's not getting scrutinised in the papers, social media. He's still a baby. You know, he's still learning his way.
He's still growing.
He's still growing, and he's still growing.
He still plays for the 21s on some weekends. Sometimes he plays for a few minutes for the first team, and then he'll play for the 21s.
But Jay Spearing still plays for the 21s, doesn't he?
That is true.
That's a good point. Yeah, I've got, you know, it's a big bugbear of mine since the academies came around. You know, the demise of reserve team football. I mean, Tomo came through it more than me because I was late into the game, but it was valuable, wasn't it, in your learning curve, playing reserve team football. You play against first team players coming back, players who aren't playing in the first team. You also play against decent crowds, but there's also, you know, winning what was it? It was the Pontons League, wasn't it, to win that, and then you're not too far away from the first team. You know, the gap, I think now is it's a big gap between 21s and first team football. And
there's a lot of stress on the body at that age as well. You've got to look after the kids, I think.
Yeah.
You know, particularly the superstars, when it's easy to put them into man's football or men's football straight away, and everybody wants to see him. And that performance tonight, all the fans will be crying out to see more of him. But you know, we don't want another Michael Owen situation where you're burning these players out. You've got to look after them now, particularly while they're still growing and developing.
Okay, let's head back to our fan panel and have a quick chat with them. Alex, I'm sure you're amongst the millions, really, of Liverpool fans who've been clamouring to see a little bit more of Rio Engamoa. You got that tonight. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I was at his debut against Accrington Stanley last year, and then saw him quite close up in pre-season in Hong Kong. So I've actually seen I know he physically is still growing right now, but you almost see it in real time. He looks a bit stronger on the ball. He can take a kind of a knock and then just bounce back up. I mean, he's so unpredictable. He can go right or left. How do you actually stop him? I mean, you know, Maka played fullback sometimes for Liverpool. How do you stop him knowing that he can drop the shoulder, go right, drop the shoulder, go left? His balance is unbelievable. Very similar to when Sterling kind of came on the scene. You were thinking, how'd you get the ball off this kid? I mean, I wouldn't even like to see what he does to some of our defenders in training. Maybe I don't want to see that, but he's just so refreshing and direct and to the point that you have to give this kid minutes. Now, there's a debate, isn't there? I think Tomo and Maka just touched on it. How often do you play him? How many minutes do you give him? Is he being managed well? And I think, yeah, you know, the Michael Owens of this world, you'd argue that they burnt out at 21. But I think he has actually been managed quite well. I mean, I was at the Newcastle game, and I think the thought after that was, right, we're going to see a lot of this kid. This is going to be his breakthrough. And it is, but we've still got so much more to come with Rio. That's the exciting thing. But if he's doing that to Premier League defenders, you know, embarrassing them, just imagine how good he can be in 2 to 3 years if he's managed right.
You fancy your chances of stopping Rio, Jace?
Back in the 90s,
He's got no chance.
Well, back in the 90s, I would have kicked him 6 foot in the air and tell him if he does it again,
Exactly.
I'll kick him 6 foot in the air again. But I maybe got to tell him off on the refs. But now it would have been a straight red card. Yeah, I think that is a really good way to describe how he plays. Is unpredictable. There's nothing worse for a fullback when you've got an unpredictable winger. If you know, I'm not going to be too harsh, but Cody's quite predictable because he's not left-footed, he's right-footed. He comes inside, pulls the trigger. You show Cody inside, he'll take that route. You know, he doesn't want to go down the outside. Rio Engamoa wants to go down the outside, but can come on the inside.
Yeah.
But what frightens me is, and we were talking about his mature decision making. You know, sometimes you're saying to him, "Come on, take me on," and he realises it's not there. You're not there to be taken on. Yeah. So he'll stop and he'll roll it back. You can't defend that cross then. Yeah. You know, he's picking the right decision all the time. He's a very, very mature winger, and it's nice, refreshing to say winger.
Yeah. Stephen, I'll get your thoughts on him. What is it about Rio that impresses you the most? Is it that unpredictable element the lads are speaking about there?
I think the two words that have been used so far are probably correct. I think it's the unpredictability, but the matureness that he's bringing to the performances so far. I think in all competitions, game time, that might have been his 17th or 18th appearance tonight, which I think is quite a substantial amount of appearances, although the game time might not reflect that. And I think he I don't know, maybe sometimes we have been a little bit cautious with him at times, but I thought, you know, he's been crying out for an opportunity and he grasped it with both hands tonight. I thought that was absolutely terrific. He got a little bit of the rough treatment in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of the match, and it didn't shake him off. I like the directness. Certainly our supporters club have been crying out to see him, and I know that we'll be very happy as a club tonight with the 68, 70 minutes that he put on. It's what we do next that I think is the interesting thing. You know, has he done enough to start against Galatasaray midweek? Picking up on what you guys have said in the studio, I think there is a little bit of a predictability about Cody. And I think sometimes you get the impression that Rio does more maybe in the 5, 10, 15 minute cameos than the starter has done in the 60, 70 minutes beforehand. I'd like to see him get some more game time now. I think it can only benefit his development if it's handled correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he's in, of course, the best place for his development, David Easton, but just in terms of where you stand on how much more you would like to see of him at this stage, because it's that constant balance of trying to protect him. He's still only 17, as we say, doesn't turn 18 until August, Rio, but also giving him that platform to shine at the same time.
Exactly, and we've just not had the opportunities this season to put him on for the last 20 or even start him anywhere in particular after that. I think what I love about him, not just the idea that he can go left and right, and he seems to have the same kind of power on his shot or his cross, whichever way he goes, and that's incredible. As Stephen said there, the ability to get up and just go again. He will get kicked up in the air, but Jason, he's coming straight back at you. He's going to just keep going and keep going. And I love the attitude. He didn't let his head drop at all. He was, if anything, he was enjoying the battle. And when you see a player enjoying the fierceness of it all, it's a massive step up to Premier League, FA Cup football. It's a Premier League side, and I think compared to what we saw against Accrington Stanley last season, what a difference.